Okay, meet me again. My name is Dimas Satria, and here we're gonna make a query, a mutation query in Graphql to create and modify our user. We're just gonna edit two files here, the user service and user resolver as usual. And for the first thing, I want to create the input data, the input type. This input, we will use it to pass in the data to the database, just like a request body in POST in REST API. If you're already familiar with REST API, it's just like a request body. So we're gonna declare our input type here with the help of type Graphql. We can simply make a decorator here, name input type, and here we're gonna export class. I'm gonna name it user input. Inside, just like a request body in REST API, you have key value pair, and you have key in here. We will assign our key, but we name it field like in our database. We will name it field, and here's our decorator. This is also from type Graphql. This field will link to our database. Of course, this is our user input, and we have a lot of fields here. For demonstration, I'm just gonna make a tree field here, and inside of here we can assign it if this is nullable or not. Maybe I will take the null input, and first I'm gonna assign my full name. This is for the name field in our database, and I will expect the data to be inserted is a string, just like this. Here's how we can list of all our field. You can make a lot of fields here, even more than but after that we're gonna make email, also same. We're gonna type field, and I wanna take nullable to be true, and the description is email. I also expect a string type of data that input. And for creating a user, I have to have a unique field. Here I'm gonna take a unique username, so I'm gonna assign this to be nullable to be false, because I have to have this data to be inputted to the database that this data is required to create a new user. This is our unique username, so only one user have one unique username and have to be different with another user. I will name it slug. You can name it whatever you want here, and our slug will also be a type of string like this. Actually, I have my cheat sheet here. I'm sorry, because I already make it. And this is our input type. Next, we're gonna make the service. We're gonna make the function that will connecting to our database. So here we go. We're gonna make a function first to creating a user. For creating a user, we will have expecting our one parameter. Here we only expect one of argument, because in here in our input type we will bundle all our data, so you can edit later the field, and we're gonna bundle it and turn into a JavaScript object. And here's the interesting part. So with JavaScript object, you can easily connecting or extracting your data in your database, especially if you have Mongodb. If we create it with Mongodb, so creating a user, creating a collection, or creating a document, updating a document will be so much easier, because we here are just gonna have a JavaScript object, and we can do a lot of things with that. So the logic here, I'm gonna check it first if we have an existing user with the same slug. So I'm gonna find from the database. I will find by slug in our database. So I already make a function here, find by slug. It's a pretty straightforward function. I just have one line of code here, and this is connecting to our user database, user collection in our Mongodb database. I'm just gonna find one with slug. Actually, the inputted slug here. So I'm gonna find slug, and we're gonna extract our user data here to be slug 2, and just as simple as that, we're gonna check if there is an existing user. If there is, it will return true here, and I'm gonna throw an error. That said that user is already exists. I'm gonna throw that error. If we don't have an error, so we can next to our next line of code, and we're gonna wait for this user repository, and this is how we create. So you can check it in your Typeorm documentation here, and we can easily save a user. If we want to remove, just type the remove function or insert or update it's really straightforward and so easy. So we have insert here, and this is just repository insert and your JavaScript object. So it's very simple. I'm gonna insert, take the user data, and just like that you can create a user. After that, I want to return my user that I already created by finding again in the database by function find by slug again. Find by slug. Okay. Gonna pass our user data slug again here, and just like that we can create a simple mutation query to create the data. Here's my previous function. Okay, and for editing user, it's also really simple. I'm just gonna copy from before and I'm gonna edit it, so you can compare it that it not really different from to edit the user. We're gonna take the same user input here, the same input type, and we can do that. We're gonna expect our user data too, and we're gonna check if there is an existing user or not. In edit user, I have a typo there. In edit user, you have to have that user already. So if we don't have that user, we're gonna throw an error. This is the so we have to expect that we already have that user. If we don't have an existing user with that slug, that we can edit it and we're gonna throw an error that user doesn't exist. That user doesn't exist. So we can edit that user. To update, it's also really simple. If we look at the document, yes, documentation, and type ORM documentation, that we can simply call of update function with two arguments here. The first one is finding, so it will execute user setting the first name to Rizrak or whatever the hell the name is, where first name is Timber. So the first one here, the argument we will find in this case a user, a database, or a collection which have a document in the type or in the key first name with the value of Timber, and we're gonna edit it here, so the value will change to Rizrak. It just take two arguments. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. So we're gonna expect two argument here. Gonna call where our slug. It's gonna make our where is user data dot slug. And the function we will call update function, and that's it. It's so simple. Here is what we connecting to our database in user collection, and we're gonna update where the slug is actually the inputted slug here, and we're gonna change whatever it is that the user inputted here. So we're gonna modify all of the data here to updating our collection, and that's how we can do it. It's so simple with just a few line of code. This is my previous read user. So simple. And so we're gonna make the mutation here. For mutation, we have mutation decorator here. We have mutation decorator from NestJS Graphql. So we have mutation that I want to return a user when we create a user. This is an asynchronous, and I'm gonna name it create user, and I expect an argument, and this is how you can take the argument from the input type. This is the syntax, so just semicolon, and the input type is user input that we already created, and that's it. I'm gonna make a promise here to return a user. And this is just one line of code. Just gonna call our function in user service. So we have to wait this user service, gonna call it and creating a user, that function that we already created, and pass our user data parameter. And just like that, I already make mutation. This is our mutation query, and for returns, I'm sorry, and for editing user, it's also the same. Just gonna uncomment here that we declare a mutation and return a user. Gonna name it edit user, and it's also expecting the same user input. Here we're gonna name it edit user data and pass it to our user service of the function edit user, and just save it, and we're gonna run it by npm run start development. Gonna wait. This is the database, and I just have a few collection with just a few field, just log name and email, and starting collection on watch mode here. We're gonna wait a few. So our server is running here, and we can check it by visiting localhost 3001 GraphQL. Here is our playground, and we're gonna test our query. This is very simple. We can mutation here, and we have two functions: create user and edit user. First we're gonna create, and this is our user data, and this is the magic of GraphQL. So we can sign up a lot of fields, and it can pass null if you don't want that to be passing, or you can pass with the data, and it's so simple. So maybe John and name, is John with full name, and you can do it like this if you don't want to pass the email because the email is nullable, or you can create a full argument here with email. That's the beautiful of GraphQL. And here we have our user. We can find our ID if we want to know the ID. We're gonna fetch the ID too, and this is how you can fetch whatever you want here, but I'm just gonna make a simple here, and just like that we can create a user. Here the user is already created, and if we refresh, here we have our user. This is so simple, so simple. And to edit this user, we're just gonna edit the user, and we're expecting edit user data because this is very important. The argument is edit user data, and just like this we can edit our collection in our database, John Gray for example, and we have John Gray email, and just like that we are editing our user, and this is the edited user. And if we create it, if we look at it in our database, and the user is already created.